What's up, Celtics fans? Before diving into the avalanche of breaking news surrounding our beloved Boston Celtics, let's take a quick moment to celebrate something special. Today is June 17th, also known as 617 Day for those of us who bleed green. It's a date packed with history and memories for this franchise. Just last year, the Celtics brought home that long-awaited Larry O'Brien trophy, ending the drought and giving the fanbase the celebration it desperately deserved. And let's not forget that 17 years ago, in 2008, the iconic trio of Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, and Ray Allen, alongside Rajon Rondo and the rest of that legendary squad, secured Boston's 17th NBA title. 2 championship anniversaries falling on the same day. That's something you just can't script. And now, let's throw out a fun hypothetical for the green team out there. If we took that 2008 championship squad and put them in a best-of-7 series against last year's title-winning Celtics roster, who takes the crown? Would the grit and physicality of the 2008 team overpower the modern spacing and versatility of the 2024 champs? Drop your predictions down in the comments, because this is the kind of barbershop debate that Celtics fans live for. But all right, let's shift gears because we've got a doubleheader of major updates coming out of Boston today. First up, there's a bombshell report about none other than Kevin Durant. According to the latest news, KD actually had the Celtics on his preferred trade destinations list. Yeah, you heard that right. Kevin Durant reportedly wanted to land in Boston. This comes from a report by Kevin O'Connor over at Yahoo Sports, who mentioned that Durant had already been turned down by his top choices, and that there were legitimate rumblings during the trade deadline that Boston was on his radar. But unfortunately, reality kicks in quick. The report also pointed out that Boston's cap situation and long-term financial commitments make this trade scenario almost impossible at this point. Let me just say this, Celtics fans, I've been dreaming about KD and Green for years. Full transparency, back in 2016 when Durant hit free agency, I spent my entire 4th of July sitting on my basement floor, refreshing Twitter every 2 seconds, hoping for that Woy bomb saying KD was headed to Boston. But instead, we all remember how that turned out. The Golden State Warriors pulled off the Hamptons 5 meeting and walked away with Durant, adding to more titles to their dynasty. Fast forward to 2022. The Celtics were reportedly deep in trade talks for KD again. Rumor had it Brad Stevens was even willing to part with Jaylen Brown and Derek White to make it happen. That deal obviously never materialized because the Brooklyn Nets turned it down. And looking back now, with the benefit of hindsight, that decision by Brooklyn feels questionable to say the least. Now here we are again in 2025, and Durant's name is once again floating around the trade rumor mill. The buzz is that a KD trade is likely to go down in the coming days, but the odds of him landing in Boston this time are incredibly slim. For this to even become a remote possibility, Boston would probably have to include Jaylen Brown in the trade, and even that wouldn't solve the cap complications. Both the Celtics and the Phoenix Suns, who currently hold Durant's contract, are operating above the second apron of the luxury tax. This means a straightforward 1-for-1 trade is next to impossible under the new CBA rules. Any potential deal would require a third team to get involved, and the financial math would have to be surgically precise, with dollar amounts matching almost exactly. Given Durant's age and declining trade value, it's hard to imagine Brad Stevens pulling the trigger on something that would gut the core of this championship roster. But let's look at where Durant might actually land. Right now, Vegas odds makers have the Miami Heat as the frontrunners to land KD. Following close behind are the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, and then the Minnesota Timberwolves. After that, there's a significant drop-off before we even get to the Toronto Raptors. At this point, the Heat and Rockets seem like the 2 most realistic destinations. But here's the twist: could the Celtics still find a way to insert themselves into these trade talks? Not as a landing spot for Durant himself, but as a third team to help facilitate the trade. That's where things start getting interesting. Brian Robb recently pointed out that Boston might actually want to get involved in a deal like this, not to bring in KD, but to move some of their own secondary pieces and shed salary to improve flexibility for future moves. Boston has a real need to get under that second tax apron, and helping facilitate a blockbuster trade could give them the leverage to do that while picking up a useful rotation player or some draft capital in return. But let's be real, if the trade ends up sending Durant to the Heat, would Brad Stevens really want to help a direct Eastern Conference rival get stronger? That's the million-dollar question, given Boston's current positioning and the front office mindset we've seen from Brad Stevens over the past few years. It's hard to imagine him bending over backward to assist a team like Miami. The rivalry runs deep, and boosting the Heat's chances of winning the Eastern Conference next season is probably not high on Boston's priority list. That said, if the right opportunity presents itself and the Celtics can benefit in the long term, Brad has shown he's not afraid to make a move. Remember, this is the same guy who flipped Kemba Walker for Al Horford when nobody thought it was possible. The front office is always thinking several moves ahead. To add another layer to this story, Jake Fisher recently reported that Phoenix has done some background research on Kristaps Porzingis. Yeah, the Suns are apparently exploring a range of trade possibilities, and Porzingis' name is in the mix along with Andrew Wiggins from Golden State. This makes sense, especially with the Heat emerging as a favorite for Durant. Wiggins could potentially be part of a multi-team deal that sends Durant to Miami, with Phoenix getting involved to balance salaries and acquire pieces that fit better with their roster. But let's pump the brakes for a second. Running this trade scenario through the salary cap simulator makes it clear how complicated this would be. For example, if Phoenix were to acquire Porzingis in a deal that also includes Durant heading to Miami, they'd be taking on close to $58 million in incoming salary, while only sending out about $5 to $4 million and under second apron restrictions. Phoenix wouldn't even be allowed to aggregate salaries in this kind of transaction. That makes any Porzingis to Phoenix scenario extremely unlikely, at least as part of a KD trade. However, down the line, if the Suns manage to get under the second apron through a Durant trade or some other roster moves, they could become players for Porzingis or another Celtics asset. And just to throw it out there, Phoenix does have a couple of interesting trade chips sitting on their books right now. Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal are two names that come to mind. Both are on 3-year contracts with manageable salaries. Allen's making about $17 million, and O'Neal is around $10 million per season. If Boston wants to shed some salary, and Phoenix is looking to tweak their rotation, maybe there's a future deal to be made. But for now, all eyes remain on where Durant ends up. Whether Boston plays a role in making that trade happen remains to be seen. All right, before we pivot to free agency talk, let me just say this. Celtics fans, if you want Brad Stevens to keep making the right moves this offseason, hit that like button right now. The front office has done an incredible job building a championship team, and this summer is going to be all about smart maneuvering around the cap and maintaining flexibility for the future. Speaking of roster moves, let's talk about the two big Celtics names entering free agency, Al Horford and Luke Kornet. According to Michael Scotto from Hoop Shipe, both players are drawing interest from teams around the league, and Boston's financial situation could make it tough to bring them both back. Let's start with Horford. Around the league, playoff contending teams are keeping an eye on him, wondering if he might consider leaving Boston for another shot at a title elsewhere. With Jayson Tatum likely to miss significant time next season, there's talk that the Celtics could take a slight step back, making Horford's decision even more intriguing. But let me just say this, Al Horford's legacy is pretty much set in stone. The guy's a two-time national champion from his Florida Gators days, a multiple-time NBA All-Star, and now an NBA champion with the Boston Celtics. Honestly, there's not much left for him to prove. That being said, if he still feels like he has gas left in the tank and wants to keep chasing another ring, you can't blame him for exploring his options. From my perspective, though, it's hard to picture Horford wearing any jersey other than a Celtics one at this stage of his career. Yes, he took that big money deal with Philly a few years back, but this feels different. After being traded to Oklahoma City and then coming back to Boston via the Kemba Walker trade, Horford has reestablished himself as a fan favorite and a key locker room presence. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers are growing louder in Boston as uncertainty surrounds the return of star forward Jayson Tatum, who has been sidelined with an undisclosed injury. While the Boston Celtics have remained tight-lipped about the situation, fans and analysts alike are beginning to speculate on what this prolonged absence could mean for the team's future. Tatum, a central figure in the Celtics' recent dominance in the Eastern Conference, has yet to receive a definitive timeline for his comeback. Though the team continues to express cautious optimism, the lack of concrete updates has only fueled speculation. Sources close to the organization suggest that while the injury may not be season-ending, it's more serious than initially believed, raising concerns about his availability. For key matchups ahead, around the league, rival executives are beginning to pay attention, wondering how the Celtics will adapt if their franchise cornerstone remains out longer than expected. With the NBA offseason inching closer, some insiders have even floated the idea that Boston could tweak their roster plans, depending on Tatum's recovery outlook, of course. Nothing has been confirmed, and these rumblings remain just that, rumblings. Still, it's not lost on anyone that Boston's playoff hopes are deeply tied to Tatum's health. He has been the heart of the team's offense and a leader in the locker room. Without him, questions arise. Can Jaylen Brown shoulder the full offensive load? Will the Celtics explore veteran signings to patch the hole temporarily? Could this setback open the door for unexpected breakout performances from the supporting cast? As of now, all we have is silence and speculation, but in a city where basketball conversations never sleep, the uncertainty surrounding Tatum's return is quickly becoming the talk of the town. Whether it's cautious hope or quiet concern, one thing is clear: until Jayson Tatum steps back on the court, the rumors will only continue to grow. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.